Hey, everybody, welcome to Courage to Grow with Jeff and Joe. And you'll notice that Jeff's not here today. So, Jeff, I hope you're feeling better. He's gone to a doc appointment. And so it's just good old Joe, Uncle Joe here, hoping to help you do a better job in your sales approach and learning from other people. And I've got the pleasure to have with us today Thomas Whitehead, coming all the way from the UK. Thomas, how are you, man?
I'm good, thank you, man. How are you? Pleasure to be here, by the way. Thanks for having me.
I'm fired up to have you. Fired up to have you here. So, one of the things that you and I discussed prior to you hopping onto this Courage to Grow program is what got you into the business that you do. So just share with those people that are watching on YouTube or the listener, what is it that Thomas Whitehead does specifically? What's your business?
Yeah, so I'm an online fitness coach and I specifically help busy dads lose body fat, build muscle, and just become the best version of themselves, the best role model of themselves. I think that's really, really important. And how I got into it was my own personal transformation, kind of being on both sides of on that coin. Knowing what it feels like to be out of shape, not happy with how you look, or habits, kind of not living to the high standards you can live to.
Yeah.
And then I got like six-pack shredded, kind of like magazine cover, like physique. And I was like, holy shit, man, like life's so much better like this. Like everything in my life just improved. I felt amazing about myself. I couldn't stop, instead of resenting like how you look, it's like, wow, I can't believe I look like this. This is amazing. So I almost wanted to give back to men to let them feel that.
So so here you go through this transformational process. You have a life-changing experience. And all of a sudden you have this emotional response where it's like, hey, I want to give back to others. I want to have other people experience this. And we've had guests just telling us the same thing. Now the question becomes, how the hell do you get out there? So what did you do? What was the first thing that you ended up doing on this journey of, I believe in lean, right? Because that's your email address. It's Thomas at ibelieveinlean.com. So tell me a little bit about that. What did you do to get started?
It's a good question. I think just just get on social media. Do you know what I mean? I actually hired my first business coach, Vince, who you obviously know very well.
Yeah. Vince Del Monte.
But really it's like, you just got to get out there.
Give me an example of some of the things that you did to get out there and what was working. Like, you've been doing this for how long now?
Coming up 3 years online. Yeah, fully online.
Okay. So as an online fitness coach in the last 3 years, has anything changed over the last 3 years? Take away the fact that there was a pandemic. What was working for you then? Is it still working now, or have you had to change things?
That's a great question. Oh, change, yeah, massively. Like, what I think, obviously, as well, like coming into that entrepreneur journey, and you look at businesses that go out of business and you think, how can that happen? There's a famous one in the UK. What was it called? I can't remember what it's called now. Big store that went out of business, and everyone was
like a big retailer.
Yeah, big one. It was like a technology one. I can't remember what it was called now. It's bugging me that I can't remember. It was like Woolworths. It might have been even Woolworths.
Okay.
And that was like, how did these guys go out of business? But then when you're in business and you actually see that firsthand, you realize you have to change. You have to adapt all the time, because the market's changing. Like what worked yesterday, or figuratively, is probably not going to work today. And I think it's the businesses that don't actually adapt. It's like adapt or die, right? And if you don't adapt, then you die. Because look at the transition now. Even within fitness, most of it's going online. Gyms are getting shut down. Personal trainers aren't getting as much business. So it's and even within going online, there's so many things that so here's a great one, for example, the DM strategy.
Yeah.
After COVID, that was a big. People were get in the DMs, but you could just book a lot of calls from being in the DMs. after 3 years of doing that, now people understand if you hit their inbox, they're like, what does Joe want? I wonder what Joe wants. They're switching on because people become more savvy. It's like when people used to say, if you got on Facebook ads in like 2012, you could just put a photo of like weight loss here and you would just get a ton of traffic and a ton of people would be buying your shit.
Right.
Now, people, like, the market changes, right? People become more savvy. So it's always about like finding new ways. You've got to be innovative. You've got to move with the times. And a big thing for me is learning not to get emotionally attached to one thing. Like, that is huge. For example, if you're on Instagram and, algorithms always change and then all of a sudden you're not getting as much eyeballs on your stuff, Instagram might not be as working. It's like, okay, cool. Is there another channel that we can prioritize for the moment, whether that be LinkedIn, Facebook, TikTok, ads, I don't know, whatever, you name it. It's learning to not necessarily, you could invest all your time and energy in building your Instagram page. It could go really, really well. And then all of a sudden the algorithm changes or, something happens, you've pissed off the algorithm, you posted something it didn't like. It's like, instead of being like, I've put all my time and attention into Instagram and this is the worst thing ever. It's like, all right, don't get emotionally attached to Instagram. What else can I do to move the business forward? So that's a great question. And I think there's so many ways to answer that.
And it's ongoing. So now you get into conversations with people and ultimately that's, we all want leads. We want quality leads. So you're helping these men, you're helping these dads develop their physical selves, which of course always goes back into changing their emotional selves in this process. I mean, let's face it, when we improve our health, it's not just our physical health, it's our mental health, and even to a level of spiritual health. So within that, now all of a sudden you've got these people that have become, fans of you because you've helped them. What portion of your business is this Instagram, social media, Facebook, wherever your main source of lead generation online is it from there or is it from referrals at this point? Because you've been at this for 3 years and you've got a client database.
Yeah, I think the honest answer is still a lot of social media.
Good for you.
Putting your stuff out there. Referrals are amazing, and that's something that I definitely want to continue to grow.
Yeah.
I know a lot of your stuff is referrals, so I think being able to, at the moment, it's like we want to optimize one, and then I think once we get the community over 100 plus members, then it's like referrals we can really dial that in. But it's the former. Most of business comes from, and even if it is a referral, it's a referral through social media, right? It's like, here's this person's Instagram, here's this person's Facebook. So, I think having that social media part as like the spearhead to drive everything through is super important in my world, particularly.
Yeah, for sure. So how are you getting people's attention? Is it just a question of frequency or is it more of an issue of, there's something that's going to resonate with your story?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good question because social media is a funny world. One thing I realized is it's one of those where to get traffic is you got your different pieces of content, right? You've got your traffic generating content. You've got your more nurturing piece of content. You've got more background about you to kind of build up that know, like, and trust. So it's a fine line. And this is probably one of the trickiest things is I'm a fitness coach, but I'm not really a fitness coach, right? I'm a marketer. I'm an online marketer.
Sure.
And then you have to put on your social media hat. Then you have to put on your sales hat. Then you have to put on your coaching hat. And no one tells you this shit before.
No.
You're I need to understand algorithms and creating content like
and
that.
You just nailed it, Thomas. You just said something that is so powerful for the listener, and that is you have to have a marketing hat to drive people to get the eyeball to you. Then you have to have your sales hat and you do not want to mix your coaching hat with your sales hat. I couldn't tell you how many coaches that I know that when they're on a buying conversation call. I like to call it a buying conversation or a sales conversation. They're on a sales call and they're coaching. They haven't been paid yet, and they're giving, and they're giving. And we have to understand that if those that pay attention. So if you're coaching during a sales call, what ends up happening?
Yeah, the guys don't buy.
They don't buy. What they end up doing is they say, thanks for all your advice, and they leave. So that's really powerful. One of the so with that, what are some of the things that you do to be able to get people to, okay, book a call? Like, what are some of the things? Because that's such a critical component for you. You're doing your own sales right now, correct?
Yeah.
So, I mean, you're putting out great content. You're getting people to follow you. This is a two-part question. Question number one is, what's the typical sales cycle? Like, how long does it take for someone to start following you? And I don't even know if you know the answer before they even, okay, I'm buying from you. Do you have an idea?
I mean, yeah, it would be really hard to track that. One thing I did notice actually is organic will take longer typically.
Yeah.
If you're running paid ads, we used to run this one type of ad, and it was literally like a post that said, like, I'm looking for 3 guys who want to achieve this result without Y forever.
Right. Like a blunt post.
Yeah, and those track like the hottest people, right?
Sure.
They like, again, and this is another thing about your question is like, what do you have to change? Like that now, people now, if the first time people see that, they're like, oh wow, this is cool. What's this?
Yeah.
And they see millionth hot post like that, they're like, it doesn't bother me anymore. So what used to work then doesn't necessarily work now. But that was one where you could put a post out and you could book a call within like a few days, and then you could sell them. Like, it was crazy. It was crazy. It was like, it was like post to book a call to sell like really quickly. Then people become more eyes to that, so that kind of strategy will top like your 3%ers that are like,
sure,
maybe ready to buy now. Then the rest of the funnel is like, someone could comment to you, well, they could watch your content for like 3-6 months, maybe even longer. Yeah, maybe even a year.
Yeah.
And then buy. I think social proof is important. Just seeing a lot of, oh, this guy, he's getting more results in this program. Oh, there's another guy getting results in this program. Oh, there's this guy. Also being able to talk to your prospect and their pains and their fears, their desires, their roadblocks. But then with that comes back to that piece of like, how do you drive traffic? If I start, coaching on social media or talking about a specific pain point or like, I don't know, macros, you got to remember people are there on social media and their attention spans like that. Boom, boom.
No kidding.
You don't hook someone like with something that they just want to be entertained with that minute. Again, you're not going to get the traffic. So it's like you need to generate.
Entertained is a key word. Yeah. You don't want to bore the shit out of people.
Yeah, exactly. So again, it's finding that you don't always want to be talking about pain points, because then they're going to be like, I'm not here to like feel bad about myself on social media. I want to watch some guy getting in an ice bath who's shredded or something, or some stupid cat video. I don't know. Do you know what I mean? Like, so it's like, it's fine margins. It's like you said, it's just a continuous process, man.
It is. It's funny because I think Ursulon Ali.
Yeah.
Okay, so Ursulon just signed up for the SOS Dojo yesterday.
Cool.
After over a year. Yeah. He said, it's been over a year and now I'm finally doing this. So it just gives you an idea that, and he's seen me speak, he's followed content, he's listened to podcasts. So and what did it was relentless follow-up. And I was relentless with him, right? I mean, we had a conversation and he even said, I appreciate the fact that you didn't give up on me. And that's what's interesting, right? There's going to be some people in your world where they're following you, and it's important for you to be able to make contact. And we don't have to be pushy in the process. We do have to be in a position where we do not give up. So I want to, going into that, I want you to give up the goods here. There's a section of our show that we always call sales fails. We all have them. We all have moments where it's like there's some kind of story, or you might have been on a call and it's like, oh God, I'm embarrassed to tell you this. So come on, Thomas, we all have them. Give me an example of something where it's like, man, that call just completely sucked, or you said something during a conversation and like there's a lesson. It had to happen. I mean, let's face it. Nobody closes 100% of the people 100% of the time. So give me an example or two, or at least one example of a sales fail that comes to mind.
One that comes to mind is when I was, I guess, first getting into sales.
Which is generally what happens. Yep.
Pitch was like 12 minutes long. And like, it's just funny. My fiance Cara used to be in sales. I think I've told you this before. She used to be in sales, so she got hands-on sales training, and she kind of and sometimes because I don't know if you can hear that, our walls are really thin, so she can hear I didn't wake her up there. She's probably taking a nap, banging on the walls. And she would get off the call and she would be like, I'd come in and be like, the guy had to think about it or whatever. And she was like, yeah, because your pitch was 15 minutes long. The dude's probably bored by the end of it.
That's
his attention.
Yeah.
And she was just talking at him. You didn't even make the pitch personal. He didn't say anything for 15 minutes. Of course he's not going to buy. So that was one.
Just pause on that for a second, Thomas, because this is so huge. We could have pieces of the pitch that you have that you might believe are really hot, and you might say, this is my differentiating value. The fact of the matter is, if we're not taking the time to listen, because this is the fail that I'm hearing, is if we don't take the time to listen to what our guest needs, then what happens is you go through everything that you have to offer. When you need to only touch upon what matters to your guest. So if for you listening, the fail here is going for it based on what you believe. If you listen correctly, based on what you learned in rapport and in discovery, those questions that you get answered, then you can take that pitch portion and literally put it down to under 60 seconds. It's all based on the hot button of your guest, which is, I think, huge. That's a huge fail that you obviously learned to turn around and turn it into a win. So congratulations, man. That's awesome.
Massively. Yeah, that fail taught me a lot, because we realized I just had a penny. When you have a penny drop moment. Mm-hmm. I was like, oh shit, they actually don't care about any of the shit I just said there. I need to give them what they want.
Right.
I don't want to talk about how the apps, you can rearrange your workouts in the app when they don't give a shit. All they want to know is am I going to lose fat doing these workouts? And that was huge for me, because I would list them all this. I was like, yeah, we've got this app that's going to be tracking where you can move around your workouts. You got the check-ins, it's going to be on a Google form, and they don't give a shit about that. And there I was reeling this stuff up, and why isn't anyone buying from me? So that was a huge lesson learned.
So now let's go into what you've learned over the last over a year. You've been a fantastic member of the Sales Objection System, SOS Dojo. When it comes to handling objections now, what difference has that made for you in comparison to where you were when you first started? How do you feel, and how do you respond to objections today?
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm not going to sit here and say I love objections. I don't think anyone.
No, nobody does.
I mean, I'm sure there's probably some people, but yeah, when someone used to tell me an objection, my heart used to sink. You know what I mean? I'd be I've done all this, and they just stabbed a knife and twisted it. Now it's not like that. I'm not going to, some people are objections, and I'm not quite to that point yet, where I'm all right, let's come on then, let's have the objection. But I'm I'm much more confident in how I handle that. Awesome. And I think the big thing for me was realizing objections are really, like you said, there's either an external circumstance, an internal circumstance, or they don't believe in the product or you haven't articulated the value enough. So now I've realized that it's actually about finding solutions, you know, and it's like coming to like meet with them where they're at and being like, okay, cool. Like, let's just have a chat. Like, what do we need to do here to move you in the right direction? There's something here that's holding you back. Like, I'm here to be your friend, man. Like, let's figure this out together. For me, like, that's huge. Obviously, I think I've probably got one of the best coaches in the dojo with Rusty. Like, the guy's an absolute, like,
love it.
Like, demon.
He is a master. He is absolutely a master. Yeah.
He's so good, man. I got a lot of time for Rusty. And yeah, I think it's that was like a big turning point for me where it's like just the confidence, the authority, and actually just turning around and saying, like, if someone's, you know, like being honest with them, being like, dude, like, what's going on? Like, let's, you know, be open and honest with me. You clearly want to do this, but the stars aren't aligned here. So talk to me, open up. And like before, I was just like, do you know what I mean? But now I've come a long way, and you know, I will get to the point where I am rubbing my hands, where it's like, all right, let's have it. Objections, here we go. Like,
right.
You know? But you know, more practice, more repetition, just like everything.
Good for you, man. So if people want to know a little bit more about you find you on social media, because I mean, as you know, we have a variety of people that are in our world, and they're not all exercise and or fitness coaches. We've got a variety of people that are listening. How can they find out about Thomas Whitehead? Where can they learn about you?
Yeah, literally type my name into most social medias. You can go with my company name, Believe in Lean, or Thomas J. Whitehead for a little bit more kind of like personal stuff. I'm pretty much on nearly every social media now: LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. Yeah, just type one of those. I would type my name or my company name, Believe in Lean. I'm sure you'll find me somehow.
Outstanding. Thomas, listen, man, this is not going to be the only time we have you on our show. I mean, it takes courage for you to even be here. I got to tell you, and I know I've told you this before, I'm proud of what you've already accomplished within the time frame that you've been in the dojo. Like, to see where you've come from and to hear and to listen to hear this from you and to see this on video from you right now, where it's like, to admit, to say, yeah, I'm not necessarily rubbing my hands together, can't wait for objections. The fact that you have that confidence, that conviction, and you use the word believe it is the title of your company. You believe in lean, you believe in yourself, and people believe in you, man. And so do I. I'm really proud of you, man. You've done a fantastic amount of work. It's great. So on behalf of Jeff Burlingame, who isn't here, and Thomas Whitehead from I Believe in Lean, this is Joe Marcoux. Listen, thanks for coming into Courage to Grow. Chaz, take us out.